Hello friends, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. We are about to go through my predictions for the EFL Championship 2021-22 season. I'm excited and kind of nervous about this one because you're inevitably going to hate me and banter me for the next 9 months because some of these picks will be atrocious. But they're my picks and we'll go through them in just a second. Before we do, I've got an announcement. Quite an exciting announcement, I've got to be honest. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to be the face of a brand new channel that focuses solely on the EFL. It's going to be called the League of 72, and we will be doing a live stream every single week. But not only that, I'm going to be out and about, interviewing different people, features, going to different games, different grounds, up and down the country, and really immersing myself in the EFL Championship. We're going to have amazing guests on every single week. And the first live show that if you don't want to miss that first live show, then there's a link in the description. Subscribe to the channel now and then you can join me. But you can join me every single week, Thursday at 4 p.m. But the first show is me and Ian Holloway. You guys know how much I love Ian Holloway. I'm so excited to have him on as the first guest. We're going to be talking to him about my season predictions. He's had some tough times with that himself, but I could do with the exposure. So he's going to go through my picks and we're going to just have a look at a whole season of the EFL, both the Championship, League One and League Two. And it's just going to be an amazing place. So if you're sick of being patronised when it comes to the Championship, then this is the one for you. I want to create a community. I want to get you guys involved. That's why we're doing a live show so that you guys can be a part of it every single week. We're going to have fans, YouTubers, managers, players. Everyone's going to be on. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to get involved with it. So please join me on that channel. As I said, link is in the description. League of 72. Subscribe to the channel and support your boy. And enjoy some EFL content. It's going to be amazing. Right, let's get into the video then. Kick it off down the bottom of the table. I don't think this will be a surprise to anyone. I've gone with Derby County, rock bottom. It's amazing, actually. The bookies don't have them in the relegation zone, and they're looking at a lot of free agents at the moment. A lot of guys who are kind of older heads, and I get it. I understand it. But they're mediocre Championship players, and maybe you might get a new sort of swan song from that, but it looks really dire for Derby, and I'm gutted for Derby County fans because they don't deserve it. But it's one of those things where, you know, you got to cut your cloth accordingly. They haven't done that, and they are paying the price with the playing squad that they've got at the moment. I don't see Rooney lasting the season. I think he will inevitably walk at some stage, and so I think it will just be a real mess for them, sadly. And I see them finishing bottom. In the bottom three alongside them. Now, a lot of people going with Blackpool and Peterborough as the bottom guys. If you have a look at the bookies, then they're suggesting that that's the case, that it's going to be Blackpool and Luton Town in the bottom three. That's not what I'm going for at all. So I've gone for Huddersfield Town. You're not going to like that, obviously, Huddersfield Town fans. Bit of a shock maybe for you guys, but I just look at that squad and I look at the amount of goals that were conceded last season. 70 goals conceded. You have brought in Levi Colwill. Yes, he's really exciting, but it's a lot to put on such a young man. Maybe he'll be able to do it because he has that pedigree and it looks like he's got real talent. But again, I think what you'll see, we know this, guys, don't we? The amount of managers that teams get through in the EFL. And I don't see Corberan finishing the season. I'll be surprised if he does. And I just feel like the amount of goals that they have conceded, how many goals did they really score? Not that many, not enough really. Josh Koroma needs to have a good season. Fraser Campbell, can he really score enough goals to help this side? I just think they're really lacking. Toffolo's a good player as well, but if you have a couple of injuries, which is what kind of happened last season, I could see Huddersfield having a real struggle this season and possibly going down. Alongside them, not Luton Town in the third spot like the bookies have gone with. I don't understand what they're saying about Luton. I've got them much higher up. I've gone with Peterborough. Now, I don't like this, but I feel like it will come down to 3 teams. Coventry, Blackpool and Peterborough down there. With Peterborough, you know, they've got a few players that were in the League One team of the season. You know, Clark Harris, Ward, Dembele, exciting players. And that is important. And I think in this video, I'm inevitably going to contradict myself with some of the things that I say. And when you look at Blackpool, had really good defence. But in terms of goals, it's about Yates and that was it, really. In terms of goals. And Sims looks like he's not going to return. But I'm backing Critchley. And I'm backing, and this is a shot in the dark, but I think with the contacts that he's got, I think he'll be able to bring in some loan players that will allow, the quality to be there to get them through games. And the defence for Blackpool, I think, is better. And I think Neil Critchley is just, the contacts that he has are good and interesting. And with Peterborough, it's really exciting, the players going forward. And if those players can have just as good a season, then scoring goals will possibly be enough. It's that kind of balance between what's more important here, the defence or the attack. For me, I worry about the defence. Maybe Josh Knight comes in and sorts that out for them. They do always play attacking football. Someone's got to go down. And I think Coventry with Robbins, I think they'll do enough. I think they'll be down the bottom end, but I think they've got enough quality there just about to kind of get themselves out of trouble, a bit like last season. And someone's got to be that third team to go down. And I think it might be Peterborough due to the fact that they will concede too many goals. Now, the midfield in the Championship is what's really exciting me. Now, some people will kind of look at it and maybe think, those big sides like the Leeds and the Brentfords have kind of gone up, and there's maybe not that same kind of firepower or star power in the Championship. But I think the point of the Championship and why we love it is that we want a competitive league. And this season, it is such a competitive league. There's no reason why teams that the bookies have being right down there can't go on a great run. The confidence goes through the roof, and then they get pretty close to the playoffs. Last season, I think there were about 5 or 6 teams, really, that you just felt like were a bit too good for everyone else. Not so this season. And there's some teams, I guess, we'll find our way through them, but some teams will just inevitably have a good season or bad season. And it will be down to kind of the feeling of those teams, because a lot of the squads are very, very similar. I've gone with Bristol City in 19th. This is a dangerous one because I think Bristol City, if Pearson can get them going, and he's got that pedigree, I really like him as a manager, then, why not? Why can't they be in the top half of it? I just feel like there's just something's not right there at Bristol City, and the lack of goals last season was a real problem for them. I like Rob Atkinson in terms of bringing a player in. I think it's really exciting to get him from Oxford, and I think that will help. I think they'll be absolutely fine, but I think they will maybe struggle this season. Same goes for Preston. Bringing in Izzy Brown, I think they would have wanted that bit of creativity from him, but overall, Preston's one of those teams that it's just the fact that they've kind of always been there, always been mid-table, that I'm kind of allowing them even to be in 18th at the moment. I do have some real concerns about them because I think there is a lack of quality there. They always seem to kind of get away with the wage structure and the money that they spend, but that great kind of squad that they had that really should have pushed on a little bit over the last few seasons, it's kind of gone now. Even the likes of Gallagher's retired, those kind of players. Pearson's gone, Ben Davies is gone. And they lack firepower, they lack quality, and they'll need to get some more loans in. Losing someone like Izzy Brown as soon as you sign him is a killer for them as well. I worry about Preston, I do, but I think they've normally got enough nous in their squad to get themselves out of trouble, and I think that it'll be a disappointing one for Preston, but they will be fine. Moving into 17th position, I'm going to go with Hull City, the last of the 3 promoted teams. I think they'll finish the highest out of the 3. They were champions last year. I think what I like about them is that they've kind of grown as a team and a squad. Both the manager, as a somewhat young manager, the squad as well, like sort of Wilkes scoring 19 goals last season, McGuinness scoring 18 goals. It's going to be interesting to see if he can make that step up to the Championship after scoring that many goals in League One. And Keane Lewis-Potter, who everyone will be talking about, I think he's a really exciting player for them. And they're kind of growing as a team. So that kind of move up to the Championship, I don't think it will scare them. Also, I think Honeyman was superb last season. The amount of assists that he got, 13 assists last season, I think it was one of the most in League One. And when he plays, they look really, really strong in the few occasions that I was able to see them in League One last season. 15 clean sheets as well. I think they'll be absolutely fine. I really, really do. As long as they don't have too many injuries. They'll have some sort of difficult spells along the way. But I think they've got enough as a team, as a collective, to sort of be strong in terms of their mental mindset, but also having the quality and the confidence to go, yeah, we're in the Championship now and we should be here. 16th position, and this is very different to what the bookies are saying. The bookies are saying that Reading will finish 10th. I don't see that, really. I think they kind of had a weak underbelly and they were unlucky with a few injuries. But I think the loss of Omar Richards, the loss of Elise, I think it leaves them with a lack of creativity in the team. And I think it's a weak squad in terms of numbers, really, in terms of true depth. Of course, they'll be absolutely fine in the league, and they do have talent in terms of, João, in terms of Ajaria, in terms of Morrison's a good solid centre-back for them as well. But I just don't think they'll be anywhere near where they were last season, and they did really fall off as the season progressed. And so to lose those kind of players, I think they're going to struggle to maybe score goals, and 16th will be disappointing for them, but it wouldn't be a surprise to me. 15th place, Stoke City. Now, we've kind of overestimated the sort of stars of this playing squad over the last few seasons. If you think back 2 seasons, everyone was saying that they were going to win it. I mean, there was certainly something that was rotten in that club, and I think that's kind of worth keeping in mind. I think maybe less so over the last season, but it's often teams that come down from the Premier League and do struggle despite the embarrassment of riches that they have. Stoke City were the last, QPR did it a few years ago. And now some of those players are kind of making their way out in terms of additions. You've got Wilmot who's come in. But the big thing is Campbell and him being fit and available. I think they could still do with another striker that has a bit more energy about them, because you've got the likes of Powell and Fletcher who are good and solid, but they need that creativity around them because they're not really going to kind of, hurt the opposition when they're kind of physicality apart from being big. Do you know what I mean? There's a lack of pace there. With that in mind, I just think there's a lot of pressure on Campbell. And, if he's going to be coming back from an injury like this to kind of go, okay, you're going to be brilliant again, I think it's a lot of pressure on him, and I think Stoke might struggle once again. It's going to be interesting to see if O'Neill lasts the season, because with the parachute payments kind of running out now, they are starting to struggle, and they're going to have to start to grow a new kind of identity where they bring through players, a bit like QPR have done over the last few seasons. So it's going to be interesting to see what Stoke City do. I think they'll be 15th mid-table due to a lack of goals, and another disappointing one for Stokies. 14th position, I'm going to go with Barnsley. And losing Mauer, I think, is a bigger loss than people would think, just because the average age of that team is like 23. Despite that, they've kind of kept a lot of the other guys, and I think that will mean that they're absolutely fine. And this is still an amazing achievement for a club that previously had been a bit of a yo-yo team between League One and the Championship. So if they're consolidating again, I don't think that's the biggest problem. I think Barnsley fans will look at 14th and go, this is cool, this is fine. This might be a bit of a surprise. In 13th, I'm going to go with Luton Town. I just kind of like where they're at as a club. They have lost Collins, they've lost Dewsbury Hall, possibly the 2 best players. But I just like the sort of stability that they seem to have, maybe the excitement and energy that they have as a championship club now. I think they feel a bit more stable in the division. And in terms of the players that they brought through, some of these guys could do really well for them. Cameron Jerome, I know he's 34, but he knows how to score goals. And he's kind of that safety striker, I think, that they brought in, alongside someone like Admiral Musque, who's got that little bit of pedigree, again, utilising that really lovely relationship that they seem to have with Leicester City. If you think of the James Justins of this world, Dewsbury Hall, and now someone like Musque coming up, he might be able to catch fire and score goals for them. Reece Burke, they brought from Hull City, is a really, really great signing for them as well to improve the defence, and Amari Bell as well. And you put that alongside the players there that I think now feel comfortable in the Championship. And I think they could have not even a proper go at the playoffs, but I think they can have an enjoyable season once again. And I think with that mindset, that can kind of continue through February, March, April, May, and once they're already safe. I put Millwall in 12th. I've put Millwall there because I'm scared of their fans. And I put Millwall there because I think they're just incredibly solid as a Championship club. I don't think they have sort of airs and graces, and I think that's a real strength for them as a club and as a team as well. I think they've got different options in terms of how they can win games, someone like Matt Smith, but I think I'm really excited about Benakofobe in terms of his kind of role in this team and maybe his resurgence, just to add that touch more quality in terms of the striking options, as someone who is a bit more of a complete forward than someone like Matt Smith, who's stupidly effective but sometimes can make you a little bit one-dimensional. I think they've got enough quality there to kind of have a bit of a push for the playoffs, especially in a season like this, but I think they'll fall a little bit short. But I think, again, it'll be a nice solid season for a team that's got a manager in Gary Rowett who I think is just a really solid fit for them. Swansea in 11th place. It doesn't feel great at Swansea at the moment, and I think the big thing for me is the loss of Andre Ayew. You can't lose someone like him, Woodman and Gay. If you lose those 3 players, you're struggling. You're going to struggle a little bit. And I think I'm actually probably being a little bit kind. In terms of a real crazy fall from grace, Swansea could be the one, But I think they've probably got enough quality there at the moment. And again, will utilise the loan market like they have done in the past. I think some people might disagree with this one, but I'm going to go with Blackburn in 10th position. Because I think they were a little bit unlucky at times last season, because I think the squad last season was pretty frightening. Yes, they have lost quite a few players and important ones, the likes of Harvey Elliott. They could still lose Armstrong, and I think if they do, then that's a huge loss for them, and then all of a sudden they do certainly drop down in my estimations. But if they are able to keep him, in terms of those players that they have lost, it's the likes of Lewis Holtby, Stuart Downing, Charlie Mulgrew. These are older players. Now, you do lose leadership with that, but I think there's enough energy in this team. And there were so many games I was watching it and thinking, how have they lost that? Like, with the quality that they've got and often the chances that they had as well. I think they could get that little bit more luck this time around and have a better season than maybe some people were expecting. Okay, this next team in 9th place. Now, in the bookies odds, they're 16th, supposedly. But for me, I think they could be one of the shocks, I guess. And I think in terms of a shock, I think at the end of the season, we'll look at it and go, well, no, actually, all those components were there. But at the moment, I think the fans of this club and maybe pundits or everyone, because of the kind of roller coaster that they've had over the last few seasons, are scared to put this forward as a team that could have a positive season. And I'm talking about Birmingham City. I think Birmingham City have recruited really, really well. And I think the big thing with them is last season, if you have a look, they had 14 clean sheets, which was the 13th best in the Championship. And so it wasn't about being able to kind of stop the opposition. And of course, someone like Karanka is a bit more defensive-minded than others. But it was about scoring goals. They couldn't score goals. And the players that they brought in, I'm just really excited about them. I think Jordan Graham's interesting. Chukwuemeka is interesting. And also, Lee Bowyer himself. Ryan Woods is a really interesting one, because you're going to have a player there who's going to get on the ball, which will allow them to kind of keep possession, but also play those passes quickly. And then someone like Jordan Graham and then Chukwuemeka and Jukovic, you're going to get those crosses in. And it's going to be a very clear style of play, I think, when it comes to Birmingham City this season. But I think they've got a little bit lovely balance. Maxim Collin, I really like him as a fullback as well. I think there's enough there that if they can start well and Bowyer can kind of imprint his confidence on the team, then I think they could have a really good season. Will the real Nottingham Forest please stand up? Well, I think Chris Hughton is gently kind of picking up Nottingham Forest, and his pedigree as a manager, that kind of calm confidence that he brings to teams, I'm backing that. I think that they can do so much better at Nottingham Forest. They are a sleeping giant. I guess the problem is some of the players that have left. I mean, but do you want some of these players? Sammy Amiobi, has he really done it for you? Knockout, has he done it for you? Kravinovic, has been good at times. But even up front, there's a lot of players there that just need a new lease of life. Lewis Grabban scores goals in this division. Lyle Taylor scores goals in this division. Obviously, Glenn Murray is now retired. Joe Worrell's a really good player. Samba's a really good player. There have been a few ins and outs for Nottingham Forest. But I back Chris Hughton. I think he will find a way to get this team moving. And I think they'll be able to kind of, bring in some reinforcements as well to kind of pick themselves up, dust themselves down. And again, it's about scoring goals. Can one of those strikers get themselves moving in the right direction? Because 37 goals last season is absolutely atrocious for this Forest team. And the start that they had last season was a real mess. And if you look at the end, it highlighted the problems again. Lots of draws, not enough goals. Haven't heard about QPR yet, have we? Right. 7th position. Cardiff, look, the Kiefer Moore factor is huge in this one. Collins coming in as well is a really good addition for them. They have lost Harry Wilson, and there's a lot of assists that are lost through him. But I think the style of play that Mick McCarthy was kind of playing there was very, very clear, incredibly direct. And we'll see you get more and more out of more. That said, are these guys going to finish in the playoffs? Yeah, maybe. but I'm putting them outside. The reason for that is that I just wonder if there might be a few moments when they struggle to break teams down. If there are other teams, I'm looking at the league this year, and I think there are quite a few teams who actually might play quite industrious football, if you know what I mean. And so if you're playing that way, you might be able to defend a little bit better against those teams as well. And with that, you might be able to stop Cardiff a little bit, but expect Kiefer Moore to have a massive season once again. And if we get to the start of next season and he's not in the Premier League with Cardiff, he'll have to be in the Premier League with someone else, because he is Premier League quality, in my opinion. And I think they'll have another good season. I think they'll be looking at it and going, we've got a real chance here. But I think they'll just miss out. I wonder why. Top 6 time. Here we go. This is the exciting bit. Who's going to be finding out for the playoffs at the end of next season? In 6th position, Queen's Park Rangers, yeah? Come on! Are you with me? Let's go! Yeah? Why not? We have recruited really, really well. And as I said at the start of the video, there is a pack of teams that could all get into the playoffs if they can hit the ground running. I really like the feeling around the club. I really like the synergy between the fans and the owners, the players that we're trying to bring through. A lot of those are sort of youngsters that have come through the academy, and generally just the balance of the squad as well, because to bring back the players who did so well for us, because I think often you can kind of go, well, you had all these players on loan and they've gone now, so you having a good turnaround from January to May doesn't count. Well, it does count because we signed all of them. And we've got a goal scorer. I think that's huge in this division. If you've got a goal scorer, you've got a chance. And we've got a cracking forward in terms of his hold-up play in Lyndon Dykes. And in Charlie Austin, we have a striker who can score goals at this level. If he gets chances, he takes them. It's not even a question. It's just an answer. He does that. And I think that's amazing. Add that to the bolstering of the defence, the bolstering, hopefully, of the fullbacks. Of course, you're going to need to get some luck in all of this, but we've actually got a little bit more depth than I could have imagined. I think our finances somehow are now in a better position than a lot of others, and with that, we've been able to strengthen the likes of Jimmy Dunn coming in. Rob Dickey is a quality player at this level now. Lee Wallace is a new lease of life. I'm really excited by us, and I think, of course, there are teams with huge budgets above us, and I think that does play a part in this league. But there are a couple of spaces there in the playoffs available, and I think we're going to take one. I think we're going to make it into the playoffs this season. I don't say that lightly, so maybe I'm getting too gassed, but let me enjoy the gas. I'm going to put us in 6th. In 5th position, this pick is based around the knowledge and experience of my experience of this person's knowledge and experience. How did I get out of that? Neil Warnock. This guy knows the division. And this guy knows what you need in terms of the kind of players that you need to be buying. And you need physicality, you need to be tough to beat, and then you need some players who can go and win the game for you. And he's kind of got that now. He's got some really horrible players, Crooks, Ikpeazu coming through, likes of Sammy Amiobi, who has never really clicked in this division, but you've always watched him and gone, this guy's talented. What's going on here? So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. He had an okay season with Forest last season, but he does need to kick on. And Warnock is just very good at kind of picking up those gruff strays and putting them into a team that can do something. And they've still got some other really exciting players as well. Like Tavernier, you've got Paddy McNair in there as well. That's what Neil Warnock does. He brings in men that he can rely on, and they often do pretty well for him. And I think alongside, the hard work of Watmore, Sombalonga now coming back, if he's had that time to get over the injuries that he's had, I think they'll have a really good seed in Middlesbrough, and I think they'll be in the playoffs. And I think of the best of the rest, I think they'll kind of top that table. And when I say best of the rest, I'm obviously talking about the teams that have come down from the Premier League, and then I've gone with Bournemouth as well in terms of that top 4. In 4th position, I've gone with Sheffield United. Now, the reason I've put them 4th is because I think they'll have a real struggle at the start of the season. Now, I might get this horribly wrong, but I feel like there is always that hangover when you've lost game after game after game after game. What they do have is experience and championship experience as well. So the players that will be playing there, and if you think of the players that they've lost, they've only really lost John Lundstrom, who wasn't really a starter for them anyway. So it's a squad that should be, I mean, absolutely getting in the playoffs, thinking about automatic promotion. And the likes of Ryan Brewster, I think he can have a fresh start at a lower level. I think that would be great for him. But I do think they will struggle to win games at the start. The other thing with these teams when they come down is it's a cup final for all the other teams. I've found it with QPR, and I'm sure Stoke City fans will probably say the same. When you've got all these stars, people are coming after you, and they raise their level. So I think Sheffield United will struggle with that for a little while. Then they'll find their feet. Jokanovic is a good manager, and I think they'll be fine. They'll kind of have that wobble, and then find their feet and get themselves into fourth position. In third position, I've gone with Bournemouth. I think they've still got so much talent. Can they hold on to Danjuma? That's going to be huge. But if you think of the midfield options, the striking options, Solanke growing as a player as well, I think they'll be able to utilise the loan market still as well. They'll also kind of have a better understanding of kind of who they are and where they are, and they haven't lost too many players. Scotty Parker's come in. He knows the division as well. They'll be able to play good football. Ben Pearson, a cracking midfielder to have in there as well. I think they've got enough. They really have got enough. And I think it might be, when I see Bournemouth, I think about Norwich a few seasons ago, where they kind of had a season to go and go, okay, who are we? What are we? And then in the second season, they were like, right, let's go. And I think if they're able to keep some of their best players, then I think they've got a real chance of pushing for automatic promotion. I think there will be a good feeling there, but they might just miss out. And I think the reason they miss out is just due to the gap in terms of the sort of wage bill of West Brom and Fulham, and then a couple of other reasons. So I'm going to go, if you have a look at the bookies are saying that my four are the same four as the bookies, but they have Bournemouth finishing fourth, Sheffield United finishing third, and then they have West Brom finishing second and Fulham winning the league. I've gone the other way around. And the reason I've gone the other way around is because of the managers. I think this high-energy style that Valérien Ismaël will be able to bring in with West Brom, I think will really, really work well for them. And I think some of the concerns are the fact that maybe they don't have the same firepower because you've lost Diagne and you've lost Austin. But you've still got incredible experience there. Callum Robinson, Carlin Grant as strikers, they can still score. And I think they've still got a bit of money to go and get another striker if they want to. Mateus Pereira, if he's able to stick around, would be really impressive. Diangana, I think, could have a great season. Romain Sawyers struggled in the Premier League, but we know he's quality in the Championship. Alex Mowat, what a signing that is at the heart of that midfield. You put him alongside someone like Jake Livermore, who's there. And then Matt Clark's a great signing in terms of the centre-backs. You've still got Sami Ajayi, Dara O'Shea, Carl Bartley. I mean, anything that gets thrown against this team, they're going to be absolutely fine. And I just think with that energy that Ismaël will bring to this team, because he will inevitably play in that kind of style. Maybe not to the same intensity as Barnsley, but certainly with that energy and high press, you can have the work rate, but then also the quality on the ball. And in this division, they do have such an embarrassment of riches. That midfield is an absolute joke. And so I think they'll do it. And the reason I think they do it over this Fulham team, which also, if they keep hold of Anguissa, if they keep hold of some of the players that they've got, I mean, they've got no excuse either. Both of these teams have no excuse in terms of going up, in my opinion. The Reason why I say West Brom is because at the moment, as we record this, in terms of strikers, really it's De Cordova-Reid and then Mitrovic. Now, if Mitrovic comes and plays and he's happy and it's fine, then cool. But he has had struggles with different teams, and I think at his age he wants to play in the Premier League. So, and also, of course, he has injuries at times. So if someone like Mitrovic gets injured, I don't think there's the same depth in terms of the forward areas for them to score as many goals. And I think that could, if it happened in, let's say, in October or even up until now, and of course, as I'm talking, I'm sure Fulham probably just signed Lionel Messi. But I think that depth in terms of the goal scorers, I actually think West Brom got a little bit more creativity. Of course, they've signed Harry Wilson as well, but I think Harry Wilson sometimes flatters to deceive, actually, and it'll be a big season for him as well. He's the kind of player that will be looking to be the player of the year in the Football League at this stage of his career, because he's had enough of those moves. I just keep looking at West Brom, and I think it's maybe the manager as much as anything. Silva will come in and they will play glorious football, no doubt. And, again, Alfie Mawson at the back, like, They've got so many good players, Fulham. But I just think West Brom might pip them to it. And so I think West Brom will be the champions of the Championship. I think Fulham will finish second. And of course, I'm going to call it now. Why not? Why not? Queen's Park Rangers to go up through the playoffs. Right, guys, remember what I said at the start of the video. Check out the League of 72 channel. Go subscribe to it and don't miss out on the first live stream this Thursday. Me and Ian Holloway at 4 p.m. on that channel. Really excited to get started on that. If you've enjoyed this video, let me know what you think down below. Let me know your predictions. Hit the like button. And if you're still watching and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It massively, massively helps. Thank you so much for watching. Also, check out my one player from every single team in the Championship who's going to tear it up this year. That video is out right now. So go click on that. And I'll see you next time, guys. Lots to click on.